بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إنه خير ناصر ومعين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء واللعن دائما على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين إن شاء الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان. صدق الله العلي العظيم صدق رسوله الكريم. Recite the second salawat louder please. If you just recall what I've discussed yesterday, mostly we began our discussion about the important presence of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, the household, the immaculate, infallible progeny of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In Muslim community, not only in Muslim community but in our society, whether it is exclusively a Muslim community and society or inclusively it is a kind of mixture of different faith traditions, cultures, races and nationalities. So generally the presence of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam is very important. Not only and exclusively for Muslims, but for whole mankind. This is what we have been into explaining a little bit, clarifying the issue. So I told you, for example, last night, that one of the things that has come to my mind was that, well, Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam are the key, let's say, no answers to our problems and difficulties. So whenever we come across a difficulty and problem in our life, if we are really loyal to our faith tradition, if we are really honest to our religion, the very first figures that will come to our mind are Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. If this is the case, we have been blessed, actually. If this is not the case, we have to reflect on our faith more. I mean, when, for example, we come across a problem and we face some difficulties in our life, some hardships, if the very first, let's say, we can say doors that we have to go and then we have to plead to them are the doors of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. So we have to congratulate on our faith, and at the same time we have to say, well, we do have a very good faith. But then if, for example, I will remind my dad, for example, first, and then, for example, my friend, and then my flow, for example, friends in the society, and then at the end of the day when, for example, when all doors are closed and then there will be no any answer from those doors, I will recommend and I will just remind of the presence of Ahlul Bayt. Now it means that there is something wrong in my faith. But in any case, so the presence of Ahlul Bayt is important just because they will come up with the proper solutions to our problems. And that is one of the reasons that we go and do pilgrimage when we are visiting their shrines. Okay. This is one of the philosophies and reasons we go and we visit. We ask them to whether to be the intercessions in order to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sins, to promote our spirituality, and to cleanse our heart, to purify our letter of performance in this world, or whatsoever. For example, if we need, I don't know, whether a greater house or better financial position in the society, we will go and we'll ask them. So this is actually a kind of Shia tradition that we do have, and we have been criticized sometimes by some other traditions, let's say. Why you are going to visit some people that already they have been deceased? Why you are going and asking some people that already they have died? When somebody dies, it means that everything just has been passed. And there would not be any response from the deceased people. This is what, for example, we have been criticized, especially by, let's say, extremists, I would call them. This is not the general viewpoint of the Sunni brothers and sisters, and the Sunni, for example, sects. But that this is something that has been raised by the minor group of them, that I would call them extremists. Okay? So they say that why do you go, for example, asking Imam al-Rida alayhi salam in Mashhad to give you the responses to your problems? Okay. He has been already dead, and then there is no one in response to your requests. And then even this is, for example, the case with the great-grandson of Holy Prophet, and then let alone, for example, other people's. Okay, so they say something like this. This is a big question. This is already has been discussed badly among, debaters, among the scholars. And then now, today, I have decided to a little bit talk about it and address this question as well. So here, for example, we do have some Quranic verses in this respect, that accordingly we can understand that, well, this very act has been justified in Islam. Okay? So what are those verses of Quran? Please recite the salawat. For example, in chapter Hajj, which is chapter number 59, verse 10, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned about those people who have got the very good faith in their heart. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbana ighfir lana wa li ikhwanina alladhina sabaquna bil iman. So already means they are asking God's forgiveness, not only for themselves, but also for the ones that they preceded them by faith and belief. Okay? So it means that already they have died. Okay? They are not present among us. But then at the same time, we are just asking God's forgiveness for their blessings, for their forgiveness, for their belief, for their faith. Okay? This is exactly what we can do when we go and visit, for example, our relatives in the graves. I don't know, here is, I think, it was the custom that every Sunday people would go to their cemetery and visit their families, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the forgiveness. It's a kind of ziyarat al-qubur that has been justified already in this verse, that these faithful people, they are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness for the ones that they preceded these people, means already they have them. The second verse that we do have in this respect is from chapter Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Verse number 19, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has addressed his prophet, Istaghfir li dhanbik wal mu'minin wal mu'minat. Now there are so many discussions that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has addressed his prophet saying that, okay, go and ask for the forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your sins. What does it mean here? That Holy Prophet has done something, for example, mistaken in his life, whereas we do believe that he was infallible? Well, there are so many interpretations and explanations in this respect that, for example, would say that, well, it was not the real them that we just translated, but it was something that Holy Prophet would assume for himself. Like أَدِلَّةٍ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ عِزَّةٍ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. A person who was always down to earth in front of and before faithful people. So humble to others that I have done something. You know, I don't know if you have come across this kind of feeling that you're so down to earth that you always consider yourself that I'm not above others. I'm inferior to others. I'm not superior. And then this is the feeling that even Prophet Musa, when he visited Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because as he was talking to God directly, Musa Kalimullah, he has been also entitled with the same title. So in one of his encounters with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God told him, okay, next time that you want to come and talk to me, you have to bring servant, a person, I don't know whatsoever, or whosoever, that you think he is inferior to you, that you are sure that you're better than him or her. So it was a command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for the next time that he had to present himself to God and before God, he had to bring someone with himself. So he was searching for that person, he was looking for us. And then so many days just passed, and then he couldn't find a person that he was assured, at least internally, that I'm better than that person. This is one of the akhlaq, one of the personality, one of the characteristics of the prophets that we have to follow. And they are the real role model in our life. So one day he went across and he saw a beggar in the corner of the alley, and then he said that maybe I'm better than this person. A beggar, very simple, in a very, let's say, living in a very, we can say, isolated way, and they're not having a very real position and a standard of the life. But then he said, maybe he has done something that I don't know, and then because of that very simple action, he's better than me. Even a simple beggar in the corner of an unknown place. He left that person, and another day he went across even a spare dog. He said that maybe I'm better than the spare dog, because animal and they are the prophet of God, so it may be the case that, well, I have to be better than him, I'm a prophet of God, and then he said that, who knows, maybe the creatures of God, there is no any guarantee. So when he later went again to see God and to talk to God, he was addressed by God, why didn't you bring any person with yourself? And he responded, I couldn't find any person or anything whom I am sure that I'm better than him. And then God responded, had you just brought a person with yourself, you would have not been anymore my prophet. So this is the test of God, this is the trial, this is the divine, let's say, test. That yes, there is no any guarantee. And then this is exactly, we can say, the interpretation and explanation of this verse. Istaghfir li dhanbik means already Allah. There is no any guarantee that even Holy Prophet who is infallible might not have any problem. And then in the future might not make any problem. So it was the short explanation, sorry, it should be in parentheses. But in anyhow, Holy Prophet was addressed to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to plead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, not only for himself, but the mu'mineen wal mu'minat, for the faithful of men and women. Okay? So this is very general verse, and it will show that, well, whether the ones that they died or the ones that they are present. The third verse that we do have in this respect, which is very direct, I think, and precise and sharp to our topic, has been recited in chapter 12, verse 84. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَا تُصَلِّ عَلَىٰ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ مَاتَ أَبَدًا وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ إِنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ فَاسِقُونَ. Do not pray for those ones, any of them, that they died or they will die. وَلَا تَقُمْ عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ. Do not stand by their graves. إِنَّهُمْ كَفَرُوا بِاللَّهِ. They have died while they rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mightiness of God, the exalted God, okay? Not only God, but وَرَسُولِهِ, and even His messengers, okay? وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ فَاسِقُونَ. They died while they have been corrupted. So it means that already this is a general rule. Okay, no problem if you go to the graves of the people, especially the faithful, and pray for them. But there is an exception. For the ones that they have died while being in a status of kufr, rejecting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not allowed to pray for them. Why? Because when Holy Prophet will pray for someone, it has been taken for granted that the response would be assured. So God does not want to reject his messenger's response. So he said, do not pray, please. Okay, something like this. Do not pray for these people. They do not deserve your prayer. Okay. So here, the general rule here is that, well, Holy Prophet Muhammad can go to the graves, means already the people are deceased. So this is exactly what we are doing. This is exactly when we go, for example, to the shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, we will find, we will ask their forgiveness, and this is exactly the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Some of the ahadith, now it's finished with the verses, we do have also plenty of other verses in this respect. But anyhow, in Sunni sources also we do have some ahadith. Like for example, in the very great book Al-Fiqh Al-Madahib Al-Arba', the jurisprudence according to 4 different main denominations of Sunnis. Al-Fiqh Al-Madahib Al-Arba', you know what does it mean, Al-Madahib Al-Arba'? They mean 4 schools that we do have in the Sunni jurisprudence. So in this book it has been mentioned that all these 4 main scholars of these 4 jurisprudential schools, this was their custom to go to the shrine of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and ask for their forgiveness. This is what they were doing themselves. It has been mentioned in their own book. Okay, this is very important. So it was a custom, it was a tradition that has been applied and has been implemented by the forerunners of these 4 schools. So already it has been practiced. What you are just rejecting? Already you're rejecting something that has been highly adopted by your forerunners and pioneers of your schools. This is one. Second, Abdullah ibn Umar has narrated and quoted this hadith from Holy Prophet to have said, "Man zara qabri wajabat lahu shafa'ati." Whoever will come and then visit me, so in the day of judgment, he will be interceded by me, or the intercession would be guaranteed by me. Okay? So this is also what they do have also in their own text. Allama Amini in Al-Qadir has narrated this hadith from 40 the most important books of Sunnis. 40 sources that they do have this repeatedly mentioned and quoted, the same hadith. So we do have also something similar to this hadith that they have quoted, "Man zarani ba'da mawti." So sometimes they will say that, okay, no problem, you can. These ahadiths and quotations, these narrations were mostly revealed in the time of the life of Holy Prophet. So we say also there are some other narrations, "Man zarani ba'da mawti faka'annama zarani fi hayati." We do have also some verses in the Holy Quran that the shuhada or martyrs, they are not dead. You assume them to be dead, but actually they are alive. Yes? Whoever will come and visit me while I'm dead, while I'm in my grave, or coming to my grave, very close to my grave, it's so much like that he has visited me while I was alive. So, this is also about Sunni sources. What about Shia sources? I really recommend to you today to whether buy this book. If you have it, please refer to it, because sometimes some people like me, they will buy books in order to put them on the shelves because they will just decorate their shelves in a very, let's say, decorative way. They are so much like interior designers. They are thinking about a very good decoration of their shelves and library. Wow, this book fits in this place. Now let me put it there. But then, unfortunately, without any simple reference to that book. God forbid from you, I'm talking about myself. So Kamil al-Ziyarat is one of the main sources of the way that we can go and then we can have a very polite way and a standardized way of visiting the shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. The book has been dedicated, the whole book that contains almost 800 ahadiths.
I'm sorry, what's the title again, please?
Kamil al-Ziyarat.
And who's the author?
Well, the writer of the book is Ibn Qulabai, who is actually one of the, we can say, 4th century scholars of Shia narrators, and he has been famous for his, we can say, multiple riwayat from Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. So he has written this book, and right now Mafatih al-Janan, if you just open Mafatih al-Janan, that already is very famous right now here, you will find one of the sources that he has used in his book is Kamil al-Ziyarat. So if you refer to Kamil al-Ziyarat is the source of this, for example, Mafatih al-Janan. This is very important. And then it is mostly talking about the way that you have to, visit the shrines of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam first. What are the rewards of these visits? And then what are the contents and statements that you have to utter when you're visiting these shrines? This is very important. For example, in this book, Kamil al-Ziyarah, that I will suggest you buy it, if you don't have it, he has mentioned a hadith from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam to have said, like for example, before just telling you this hadith, almost we can say 1/3 of the book has been dedicated to the ziyarah of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam in different days, and then of course different rewards. And then insistingly we'll find that maybe the author is trying to, provoke Muslims and Shias in order to go and do pilgrimage. And then even sometimes having a very sharp language, saying that whoever does not visit the shrine of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, these are, not curse, I don't want to call it as curses, but then some calamities and difficulties of his or her life would be because he didn't go to visit the shrine of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. To that degree is the language is sharp. Just today before this lecture I was studying this book. That part regarding the Ziyarat of Qabr al-Husayn, for example, alayhi salam. So in this hadith, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam has mentioned Ziyarat of Qabr al-Husayn, wa Ziyarat of Qabr Rasulullah, wa Ziyarat of Qubur al-Shuhada alayhi salam, ta'dilu hajjatan mabruratan ma'a Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi. It means that, when you visit the shrine of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, it's so much like that you visited the shrine of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it's so much like that you have done an accepted pilgrimage, an accepted Hajj alongside Holy Prophet himself. Like Hajjatul Wada. Suppose that, for example, you were alive in the time of Holy Prophet and it was the last pilgrimage and it was the last Hajj of Holy Prophet, and then you were just attending that, let's say, big festival, as I will call it. Which was a great tawfiq for the ones that they attended, although unfortunately so many of them, they already did not understand the value of this festival to the degree that we Shias know. So, for example, one of the hadiths that we do have in Kamil al-Ziyarah is exactly like this. And then inside the book, the final comments and the final statement of my lecture today would be, how we should go and then do pilgrimage to Amma Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So this is also very important. Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam, Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam, they were visiting the shrine of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam repeatedly. So it was not only the case that, for example, this is our job. This was a sunnah already, we can say, founded by Ahlul Bayt themselves. So it was actually what has been repeatedly done by Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam himself, visiting his grandfather's shrine. So he has mentioned Ji'tuka, who Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam is already saying. Ji'tuka arafan bihaqqik. So one of the conditions for us in order to have a very good, very proper, very appropriate pilgrimage to and ziyarah to the shrines is ji'tuka arafan bihaqqik. We have to know who are visiting. It is very sorrowful that some people, especially the ones that for the first time they will visit a place, they do not study, they do not read books, that whom I'm going to visit. What are the values of that person? What are the personalities of that person? Who I'm going to talk to you. So these are very important. I don't want to say that we can have also the level of recognition and understanding of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam about the commander of the faithful Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. But at least to the level that we can, we have to do our best. جئتك عارفا بحقك مستبصرا بشأنك معاديا لأعدائك ومن ظلمك. So at the same time it means that if I know you, I will have also the internal enmity with your enemies. So it is not always the case that I love you and then there is no any hatred of your enemies. It is completely balanced. If I love you, if I know you, I have to also hate your enemies as well. So this is exactly two ways. This is not only one-way terminal. This is not only one-way road. It is two ways. I love you, I hate your enemies. This is exactly something that has been balanced. And then the counterexample of this very tenet of Shiism would be what some of the Christians nowadays, they accept. Kind of a concept of pacifism, if you have heard. They say that, love your enemies. Okay? Love your enemies. Love the person who wants to just break into your house and then threaten the lives of your family members and their wives, and then just stay quiet and try to peacefully communicate. This kind of idealistic approaches are good, but not functional. I mean, they are not practical. Sometimes I was talking even here, some of them are in Canada, and then we were in a dialogue. So I asked them, suppose that a person just has aimed a gun over the head of, for example, your wife, and he's about to shoot it. So, and then you can do something here, aggressive. You will stay just behind and inactive, or you will do something. So it was a question, and then sometimes they're stuck. Well, they don't know. But then I think Shia idealism and Shia ideology is something that has got this balance. I love you, I hate your enemy. I hate your enemy, I love you. This is one of the characteristics of Arif and Baha'i that has been explained after. Thank you very much. Sorry for I talk a lot today. Mostly I love a kind of dialogue in between, but it has been recorded today, so I had to just talk. So, just kidding. May God Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our actions and deeds and behaviors and services in this holy month of Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue the imprisonment of shaitan after the month of Ramadan. As you know that in this holy month, the shaitan will be imprisoned. I hope that based on our behaviors, this imprisonment will be continued, inshallah. Thank you very much for your patience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala